everyone. Welcome back to the Artist Coaching Podcast with the
Are we
one and
live?
only pro golfer Jay Hardway. Fitliced? What's that?
Titleist?
Fight list.
Titleist. Titleist.
Zijn
Oh,
we al online?
Titleist. Yes, we're online.
Ah, we're online already. Okay, hello.
Yes. You were right in time.
No gossiping then.
Perfect.
No gossiping now by the end of the show.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. How have you guys
Well,
been?
talking about gossiping, I just got an Instagram comment. I've been accused of having a ghost producer.
Really?
Yeah.
And who's the ghost producer?
Well, he left. This is the how the comment went. Someone said because I posted like a darker slash deeper song on my reels,
Oh, yeah.
and someone commented like, "No, this is not Jay. I don't like it." So I said like, "Well, this is also Jay. So you don't have to like it, but it's also Jay." And then they said like, oh, "Okay, but you should make. I love your old stuff like Vibes and Stardust or whatever." And then someone commented on that, saying like, "Oh yeah, but his ghost producer is gone, so he will never sound like that again." And I was like, "I've never had a ghost producer, so that's funny."
Was that the main reason why people thought your sound was changed?
No, I don't know, but it's such a funny thing that someone first of all takes time out of their day. First of all, has that thought, I have a ghost producer, and then it's then so in their head, and they have to
Yeah.
comment on it. They take time out of their day to comment somewhere inside the comments on someone else. He had a ghost producer, but now he's gone. It's just, yeah, funny.
And even then, like I always like why is it so bad if you have a ghost producer? Because if you look at the pop music
Well, I think,
industry,
yeah, but I think it depends on uh, how do you carry it outward. So I always am very clear. I
yeah.
make things myself. I have someone else for mastering, and if I made a track as a collab, you will see it on the credits, and I will tell about it. But some DJs are just like, look how I made it, and then they go into, like we talked about before, they go into the
Yeah.
project and it's all WAV files, and then Ralph says, "There's no MIDI, bro. No
No
way in
MIDI,
hell you
bro.
made that." So
Well,
yeah.
That's a fact.
I was actually talking about this with one of my clients last week. That it's so weird that somehow music producers and DJs tend to think that they have to do everything by themselves, right? You need to be the content guy, the mixer, the masterer.
Oh,
What?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's weird because if you think about singer-songwriters, for example, or Beyonce, she doesn't do everything by
Mm.
herself. Or like in pop, it's kind of more accepted that there's a team working on a song.
Yeah, but you don't gotta. That's the wrong. How do you say it?
Comparison,
Vergelijking. Yeah,
comparison.
because pop is popular music. That's not like a certain sound, a certain genre. Everything can be popular or pop. But let's say Metallica, a rock band, or Green Day, also a rock band, they're more dependent on how they sound. A pop artist usually is not. So let's say Metallica would have taken in this sound engineer, which just then alters their sound, then it wouldn't be Metallica anymore. And I think dance is more adjacent to that than it
Mm.
is to popular music.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
that's why I think you should really strive for doing as much as possible yourself. But if you cannot sing, hire a singer. If you're bad at writing chords, I mean, we're not really emotional making music making. Depends on what kind of, I mean, melodic techno is a bit more emo to it, but also it's a little bit less personal, the emotion that's in the dance music. So I would say if then you would take something from somebody else, take the chords, for instance.
Hmm.
And because it would be weird if you sing about a heartache because your dog died, but you never owned a dog. Yeah, that's just a little bit fake. Also, that
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit what also people expect from you. Sometimes if you're faking that you're producing it yourself and then people find out you didn't, that can be like a real, like almost stab in the back of your fans,
Yeah.
you know? But if you're very open about how you work, then it's like I then think even having a ghost producer wouldn't even be weird. But yeah, I
Is
agree
there?
with Ralph. If you do everything as much as you can yourself, because even in your mix, like I make my own masters, and then I send it to an engineer who masters it and mixes it, and I make sure that it has the same kind of feel and the same kind of mix. It's just a bit more clear in the low end, and the kick punches through a bit more. It's those details where I'm like, yeah, could work more on, but I just don't want to.
Yeah.
But it still sounds like my mix, and that is so important because it's such a personal thing as well.
Is there
Yeah,
an
but
artist out there who is open about the fact that he has a ghost producer, like a DJ or music producer who is openly about it?
I mean, it's weird. Like, you're not gonna mention it like it's being a flex. Like, okay,
I
guys,
got-
hey, listen to my new song. I had my ghost producer made it. That's not also what it's about. I mean, being an artist is also a little bit make believe and telling a story. True or false doesn't always matter. And yeah, fuck
But
it.
you could present it in a different way because I do have a name in mind, but I'm not gonna mention it. Um, you could present it in a different way, as in you could say, "Me and my team have worked on this song," right?
Yeah, but
Since
still, you can
I
just,
think
here's my new song. Yeah.
yeah.
it's like Ralph said, a part of it is make believe. If you're always touring the world, there's going to be times when you're not too happy or a bit tired. You're not going to show that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I think part of that is fine. I think it's fine to hide that a little bit because for people you're someone to go to online or to a show to just have a good time and not. That's why I also think like the whole, I mean, it's good that mental health is discussed, but as an artist, you're also there for just entertainment, you know? So it's like you kind of pretend to not be tired on a show sometimes, just so that the people who you're entertaining have the best night. Um, so that's part make believe that's just part of the industry, I guess.
Yeah, Israel Carter in the live chat also says, "Why isn't there more transparency in dance music when it comes to ghost production? It seems weird when people try to hide it." And that's exactly what you say. Like you shouldn't try to hide it. It's like be open about it.
No, that's true. Just give them credit. But there's
Yeah.
a lot of tracks out there where people don't even get the credits.
Mm.
And I'm really sure that's gonna be the favorite artist of some people that hate ghost producing. Um, yeah, I also don't get it. Just credit people where credit's due, but I wouldn't go as far to just say like, "Hey, dudes, didn't do shit on this track myself, but I'm gonna present it anyway as being mine." Yeah,
Yeah, I think your label and manager will have a call with you, like get
I
that shit
mean,
offline.
Beyonce doesn't make her own music. Also, she
No.
sings. Maybe she
You
doesn't
mean
even
the
write all the
country
texts
the
and.
country singer?
Oh, that one she did make, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you
No,
mean
but
Beyonce, the country
yeah, the
artist?
Grammy
Yeah, yeah,
Grammy
of
artist,
course. No, yeah.
the country Grammy artist. No, but
She can do it all.
it's pretty weird if you think about it. That with like pop, as in Beyonce, it's okay that she has a songwriter, a lyric writer,
Yeah, no, but
maybe.
she sings though. So I get the frustration if a producer is not what are you doing then? Are you just there as a clown, you know, on the stage?
Yeah,
Like
so she owns a skill.
Yeah, she has a skill and no,
Yeah,
like, yes, there's demos and it's all produced, and then she comes in a day to record the vocals, but that's what she does very well. And I think
yeah,
that's
exactly.
like, that's why people get frustrated when it turns out their favorite DJ doesn't do shit except play sets. But then there's also the nuance of there's DJs with ghost producers who are still very much in control of what they want in the final product.
Yeah.
So then they have a team and but they know exactly what they want. And then it's kind of like,
Mm,
yeah, who's then the producer? Because yeah, that that's then the
true.
question.
Yeah,
That,
That
that.
that
Yeah,
man.
does
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
this that. And now. Anyway, welcome to everyone in the live chat. Nice of you to be here. We already have 15 people in here. That's nice. Nice to see you guys
Hey.
with us.
That's nice. Let's go.
Where is
Um,
everybody from?
yeah, that's interesting. Let us know where
Yeah,
you're
that
from.
is interesting, huh?
I actually have seen
What are you
many
doing,
different
Jopke?
Eating.
different countries.
Oh
Eating
man,
lunch.
have you been golfing?
Yeah.
Day off.
Sun is
Yeah.
shining.
This is work, man. We're
This
working
is
now.
not work. This is one of the cherries. This is not the work.
This is work.
I
We're
work
working
to be
hard.
able to do this.
Work hard on the range. And
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
We have people from Australia, Spain, Poland, Germany, Turkey, France. Holy shit, that's like the
Wow.
whole world.
Holy schmoes, man. Insane.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's fun to see. Like so many
Well,
Aust-
willkommen. Or
Australia.
bonjour.
That's like
Dzień dobry.
it's 2 a.m. in Australia, right? Midnight.
Well, it
Yeah.
depends where in Australia. The country's so big. It has like 3
Yeah.
time zones.
We have Ireland as well. Yeah. Big big
Big
difference in
turnout today, guys.
exactly. Did you you probably didn't see it, but I'll definitely share it with you guys. Last week I came across research from the guys of Patreon, and they did a research with 1,000 artists and 2,000 fans, trying to figure out what the future of creativity is online. Um, which turned out to be pretty interesting, to be honest. Like they made a website called State of Create. Let's see, stateofcreate.co, I believe it was. Yeah, .co, stateofcreate.co. That's where you can. It's like a beautifully designed website, by the way. Holy shit! But if you just run through the numbers, it's pretty insane to see what the state of creativity is and where the future, at least they think the future is going towards.
It's all like a bunch of words, but I have no idea what this site is about.
Huh.
If you know what I
Well,
mean. Like you
go to-
explained it, but I'm like, yeah, what is it about?
To be honest, I wasn't even listening.
Yeah, I know, but this is
Well,
this is not for Ralph because
okay, rewind.
this is telling some data that Ralph probably is not going to agree with. So I definitely recommend Ralph to read it. But it's about the fact that there is a big disconnect between fans and creatives these days because of the algorithms and stuff that we've talked about before. So how do you see fans building a better relationship with artists in the future? And that's kind of what the research is about, I would say.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
What do they sell?
Yeah, I know that the people who made the research sell the product, which is the result, kind of. So
So are
that
they
makes sense.
honest brokers in your modest
Depends if the
opinion?
research is true, as in if they really did the research under 1,000 artists and 2,000 fans, and if that's the only conclusion that they used and not their own opinion, then yes, I would say it's a decent thing. But again,
But what
then
they sell kind of like leans upon on
yeah,
that.
and you should
It's like
question
we have a
if it's
saying in Dutch that's wij van wc eend.
verkopen wc
We
eend.
of toilet duck advise
Um,
toilet duck. Yeah.
But you
I
should also
see.
ask the question that those 1,000 DJs or artists who have been questioned, are those all Patreon users? Because that's by definition artists
I
who are striving towards like a self-built career, you know. So all those things
I've
kept in
just
mind, I just would recommend you to read through it because I think it's an interesting read, as in even if it's just about opening your mindset and getting a fresh
I
breath of air.
see. I've been scrolling through it a bit, and I see a lot of artists feel this and that, and they feel like they're like it's a bit like, oh, the artists have it bad. That's
Mhm.
what I get from the first part. I'm like, I'm never really interested in that. So I'm curious if I'm going to read through it a bit more, what I really find. But what I think is an interesting one, and that's what I see here. That's what also Gary Vee always says. It's like people don't come on social media anymore to watch what their friends are doing or their favorite artists. They just come to be entertained, and what they get shown is purely like, hey, this entertains them the most. So it's like if you don't get shown, if your reel doesn't get, or your TikTok doesn't get through the view barrier, that first one of 300 views or something, it's probably shit. Or not shit, but like, yes, good, but
Doesn't
there's
resonate.
way better other good stuff or
Yeah.
more entertaining stuff. So
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing, and that's an analyzation of like, hey, this is how it is. But I always think like that. Oh, I'm a creator, and it's so hard to blah 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 blah. Yeah,
Well, the
that's like
research is
such a victim mentality.
it's
It
not
never works.
necessarily about that. It's more about just spitting facts, as in all the things that have changed over time, and it's mostly about um, like how can
Oh,
you build that deeper relationship with your fans over time. Because what I thought was an interesting take is that building a brand over time is done by consistency. So you build a relationship because you see each other more often, right? You become friends because you've met each other 1,000 times. And the same, that's how it works with fans as well, as in the more often they see your face, the more often they hear your music, the more often they hear your voice. That's all information they need to establish a relationship with you, I would say.
you didn't
And
say music.
music, well, listen to your music, I said.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, well, I did
Yeah, I
say.
did. Yeah, well, I did.
Yeah. Um, but what I thought was an interesting take is that they said because of all those algorithm changes, it becomes harder and harder to come in front of the same people more times. So yes, you have more reach and you might reach new people every time, but having one person seeing 10 pieces of content, that has changed. And that was an interesting take to me. Like, yes, you could reach many more people on TikTok, but are those people who just watch your content once or maybe twice? Or are they sticking with you and will they consume more of your content, more of your music? Um, and that doesn't seem to be the case. That was an interesting take to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would just recommend any artist out there.
okay.
This
Community
completely,
questions.
Thanks.
this
Thanks for sharing.
completely went how I thought it went. By the way,
Please
I just
Give Ralph the button of community questions because at points like this he'll be just like,
no, no.
okay,
I have a whole
community
list
question.
prepared to go through before we even get to the community
No,
questions.
but the
But
thing is, there
Um,
was no question. He just
they,
stopped talking. Like, thanks for sharing, man.
it wasn't a question at all. But that's why I said
Oh,
I completely. This is how I predicted it to go. So that's okay. But I do recommend any artist listening right now to go to stateofcreate.co and read the stuff because
it's
I think there's some valuable insights that can
yeah,
make
but
you a
also
smarter, more prepared artist for the future.
think about what you want to accomplish when you do something. That basically. So if you're going to make content, what do you want to accomplish with that? If it's that's what you should think, and then you can research like how does all these algorithms work. But I think like if you're going to just, of course, it's good to just make content, but also you want to kind of have a plan of like, I
Yeah.
want to show this or that, or my goal is to attract this many more followers. Or if there's no goal or no like, then yeah, good luck. It's going to be a
Talking
also
lot.
about
fine.
that,
But yeah, it's gonna
I
be a
actually
little bit harder.
let me just take that as the clip of the week. Where is it?
I actually like that you said it's people more and more want to be entertained.
Yep.
I'm actually the same. I go online to just watch shit I like, you know?
Yeah, scroll through
Wait.
I
Let me
like the
take
stupid
this.
algorithm.
videos.
Let me take this as a clip of the week. Here we go. Um,
An artist needs essentially more than discipline or even talent, is a perspective. So if you are always changing what you do based on what other people say, you completely lose.
Hey everyone, what's up?
Oh,
We
oh,
Hey, Joey!
That was my own
hey,
story. Yeah.
hey, hey, everybody!
That's a nasty shill. That's like, hey
That's
man, that's guerrilla marketing right
a
there.
very nasty shill. I all got you right there. No, I shared that clip from Lady Gaga earlier this day because I thought it was interesting, as in what she says, like, yes, you need discipline and yes, you might need talent, but the most important thing is that you,
Yeah, but you did cut it off right where she was
yeah,
gonna make some sense.
Yeah,
So
what
maybe
making
she,
the
open the
point.
reel and
what she essentially said was if you keep changing your genres along the time and you keep adapting to where to like the trends and you keep changing your sound over time, um, you will lose yourself in that hole. So she recommends to stick with close with what you want to do and keep doing that aside from what the world around you is telling you to do, because otherwise you don't have a personality, right? You're just following trends. Um, And that's what I thought was an interesting take, so that's why I shared it. But I would love to hear your comments as always. I'll just find the mute button.
Um, yeah, I need to hear the
Okay.
full clip because her conclusion is a bit
Wait, let
what
me
is interesting. Because what does she recommends that
let me check.
you do? You know?
Well,
Um,
we kind of agree. This is like a station past, we all agree. Don't jump on every bandwagon that comes by. There's no use. You'll always be reactive, or you got to be
Yeah,
really, really good at it and make really good music in every genre.
yeah. It's like you can see what's popular, but you always, and I think that's maybe what Lady Gaga also means. You always have to have this little bit of you that's like, hey, I want to do that, and I do not, and I think that's me, not Lady Gaga. You should not care about the outcome if you think something is cool.
okay,
So
here we go.
like,
I got it.
okay, another full thing.
Um,
I think an artist needs essentially more than discipline or even talent, is a perspective. So if you are always changing what you do based on what other people say, you completely lose yourself and you become just, something that's constantly affected by what's around you as opposed to stable and your own. What I think
that's it.
an art
It keeps
We
playing.
all agree, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good take. She said it nicely.
So basically, you don't need discipline, don't need talent. Just
Well, you do
do what
need
you want to do.
discipline. As
I know, but it's
if
funny
I
because
think
I
about
take your
like
words out of context.
one of the main things that I see with clients here at artist coaching is that consistency is the biggest problem of most of the artists. As in keeping the consistency going, like keep going to the studio, keep releasing music, keep posting content, like being consistent with what you do seems to be one of the hardest things out there. And for some kind of reason, maybe I would love Ralph to ask this because I think Ralph is the most consistent.
I need to
Consistent.
ask something.
Yeah.
You want me
But
to
like,
answer? I'm sharp as a razor today, man. No, I'll
Yeah.
answer it. No, no problem, man.
You have a question, right?
No.
Oh, I thought so.
Oh, you
No.
said to me I need Ralph to
Yeah.
ask something.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I wanna ask you something, as in because I think you're the most consistent out of everyone. Like, I think it would benefit the listener to hear
have you seen
you're
my ball
you're
striking
you're
today?
golfing half the time.
I'm
Like,
getting way more consistent on the range.
okay,
He's
that's something else.
consistent at going golfing.
Yeah,
No, my ball
Dude,
striking is getting more consistent.
but
your
for
ball
Ralph, like
striking? Dude.
Yeah,
the
golfing.
consistent, the consistency of things, like is that something you actively think about, or is it something you just set yourself to? Like, is it even something that it's top of mind, or is it just within you? It's just a habit that you have.
It's my lack of talent that I need to do this, or else people will be way better than I am, or do way better. And besides that, yeah, also just kind of approach it as being a job. I think we have a really easy job with a lot of freedom to make choices. And my choice is
Play
to
golf. Hey.
not to play golf, but to work
Well,
on
it's
my
the
career.
freedom. It's the freedom
Say,
you have.
as long as I have that fire to just and the will to reach certain goals, to be honest, no. All the other stuff will come.
But even during the days where because you probably will have those days where you just feel like I don't feel like going to the studio,
But
I don't have any motivation.
there's so much work to do besides doing music. There's always something, yeah,
And
besides
how was
music
that
to
in the
do.
early days of the career? As in, because now you might have a lot of other things to
Well,
do,
the
but
work was there back then, but I just didn't see it and came at a certain point. But
what
yeah,
kind of work are we talking about?
everything from marketing, posting content is one of the things. Cutting the videos, make them suitable. Then you have the whole administration part, fiscal. People just depend on you. You have to pay taxes in basically the whole world. You want to see some of the revenues back, which is also a possibility. Doing a lot of that kind of shit. There's
So
always
running a
people
business.
asking things from you. It's not only Bassjackers. We do have other projects. Um, yeah, it's also just sometimes I actually was now for an hour browsing to see if people supported our tracks here and there, and I saw some cool things, and then I send it to everybody, and it's for good morale. Like, hey, he or she played our music, which is really cool. Yeah,
Okay. So it's not like something you have to work on. It's more like something that comes very natural to you.
I'm basically perfect, man.
And how's that for you, Jay? As
I
in,
only lack talent. That's the main problem.
yeah, but that's okay. How's that for you, Jay? As in, you are completely different when it comes down to
The exact
consistency.
opposite. I have so
Yeah.
much talent. I don't need to work for it. I just go golfing.
I'm just way too good at music production. Yeah. No, but how's that
Well,
for you?
I'm
beginning
glad
of
he
my
doesn't do
career,
so much. It would be so unfair, man.
beginning
It
of
would
my
be so
career,
demotivating for the rest of us.
beginning of my career, I was like every spare hour I remember making music because I just wanted to. I was just always doing that and always making time for that. And that stayed the same until basically I had kids. And then it became way more of a thing. And then also it was right after COVID, so this whole um, my career wasn't at the same level. So there's all these big changes. But now I'm like way more realizing like, hey, I'll do anything like for my career, but I notice I also want to enjoy this time. So I want to make sure to have a nice balance between work and private life. So like I want to be able to play golf because that's not just like, oh, that's only a hobby and I'll do it when I'm 60. I really just want to have that part of me as well, just like
Uh,
spending
uh,
time with the
are
kids.
you going to the studio then later today?
No, I just work from home rest of the day. So I can work anywhere. So it's that's another thing where I realized like sometimes I would think like, oh no, I need a studio, and it's a lot of people who send me demos, or sometimes I hear like, yeah, but I need to really have a studio, good speakers to work. No, you don't. You need a good idea, and you need to just get on with that idea. You need to work on it, and if you can't work on a certain project because it's like now it's on my PC, I have different projects than here on my laptop because I haven't really synced everything. I had this whole idea I'm going to sync everything so nicely in the cloud and then I can open everything. But then I realized, no, I just need to be able to work at home and I can work on different stuff as long as I'm
Mm.
doing something. But yeah, it's way more time planning since I have kids, and that's where well, not I don't find it difficult anymore, but definitely when I had the first kid, it's like, uh-oh, I have to be home at 5 or pick her up from daycare at 5 or
Yeah.
6.
You need some
That's where
structure.
it really changed because before that I was working a lot,
Mhm.
but it was whenever. So, hey, I'm going to the studio at 3 p.m. and I work till 3 a.m. And now it's like, uh-oh, I need to be there at 9 because I only have till 5, so I need to make sure to spend all those hours, or I
It's
just go
actually
golfing.
fun
So
because to me it's the complete opposite. As in the fact that kids came into the world made my life much more structured, which made consistency much more easy. Because there is a rhythm, because there is a pattern, it became much more easy for me to say, okay, I'll be at the office between 9 to 5, and like from 5 to 7, I'll be cooking and picking up the kids, and maybe some work in the evening, but I tried not to.
yeah, I just found that switch hard from creating whenever I felt like it, which was
Yeah,
still
yeah.
a lot of hours. That's I think that people don't really always realize it. You just have that all that freedom, but the hours are still in there until like, hey, now at 9 you better be productive. That's the big switch where I have had to learn to let go of wanting to always create and just create. And it sounds so um, tegenstrijdig. It's so like it directly goes into each other, but
Counterintuitive.
Yeah, but it works. You just need to start and just
What
keep
what
going.
what Ralph said as well. Like I kind of get that with the creative part of the work, so the creative part of making music. But what about the marketing and the emails and the demo checking? Like that's something you can schedule, right? So
Yeah,
you can do that in a consistent way. Is that something you do?
yeah, more and more. But that's where like I like I said, this year is more of a switch in that where I'm like, before I go to the studio, I think of what am I going to do today. So I write
Yeah.
it down in my little notebook that I still use.
Nice.
But that actually works because, and that's also because of one thing I read in a book Joey once said about distractions. I don't know exactly which book, but
Indistractable.
it's a really like book where you're like, yeah, those are all open doors. It's really like everything. Yeah, I already knew that, but there was this one thing. It was like, hey, it's way easier to get distracted if you don't really have a plan. So if I'm not like, even if I just write down today, I'm going to start a new project or a new idea for Hardway, let's say. If I write that down and I'm like, I'm going to do that, I actually do it. But if you don't really write anything down, you're just like, oh, I'm just going to be creative because that's how you can be creative. Then it's like, hey, there's someone else at the studio, and oh, let's go get lunch, and that's how you get.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're like, what did I do? So that's where I really learned to be like, no, today I'm going to do that. That's my plan. Not like to the minute, but at least
More
like,
focused.
yeah, way more focused.
Yeah.
And, but that's also just a learning process of having kids, and you need to divide your time.
Yeah.
So I'd suggest everybody have kids. But if you if you really want to be creative, hold it off.
Keep
To
it in your
everyone in-
pants.
To everyone in the to everyone in the chat right now, let us know how you deal with consistency and if it's an easy thing you deal with or if it's very much a struggle to you.
Bjorn has a good tip. He has, but he reacted that before. He said FIFA.
Yeah, Bjorn said FIFA. That's a great distraction. Before we go to the community questions, we go to the ads. Did you guys already download? If you go to artistcoaching.com, then
I'm
on the main
confused.
page you see the free scorecard. So if you want to check out what the status of your artist career is, where you are and what you might need to work on, you can download a free PDF there. And yeah, you can find out where
PDF.
you are. PDF, yeah.
Download
might
your
work.
free PDF right now.
Very old school. Very old school. So check that right there. And
Community questions.
there we go.
Dude, epic.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? We have a whole community full of music producers. Why are we not giving them the option to make the jingles and let them
They're
win
not
something?
gonna top this. Nobody's
We have
gonna
a,
top
No,
we
but
this.
have
that's
the
the
best.
challenge.
We only need one jingle. We have the best jingle there is.
I have kind of played out whole Suno, and I didn't manage to get a better one. Like it's I
No,
kind of
but
give up.
you can ask all the producers in the world.
That's why I
This
say.
is it. This is
That's
the
why I say.
summum, the apotheosis of all mankind. It's
That-
all put inside that little jingle you made.
And that's the bar. That's the bar.
It's
So
the bar.
if someone feels free and feels the urge to make another jingle, like
Good
which one
luck
we have?
with that.
We have Knowledge Bomb and we have Shameless Plug. So if anyone feels the urge to make a
Yeah,
jingle,
but
could be AI, I don't care.
why community questions are good? Because it's an actual section in our podcast. So maybe we need to think of a new section, like a clip of the day, clip of the
Let's do
week.
that. Let's do clip of the week. If
That would be a
somebody
good
feels
one.
the urge or has an idea about a clip of the week jingle, feel free to make it, send it to us. If we like it and we'll start using it, we'll make you win something. We don't know what, but we'll come up with something.
Where's your plop cup?
It's in the other studio.
Still.
that's the luxury problem of
Ah.
having two places. Like
Two options.
I have this.
Damn, you're rich, man.
I have this, but it's like
Nah.
unsigned. I
Yeah.
like this more. I like this more. Anyway, community questions. We actually have
again.
one from.
Yeah, you need to
Josh.
do it because
Do it
now
again.
we're actually starting. So
Yeah.
Community questions.
Nice. We actually have a question from Josh, who is currently on his Asia tour. And he says, how
Where can I
important...
find anti-diarrhea medicine?
He says, how important are custom visuals for shows? Because he has some basic ones, but the clubs I've been playing at recently only seem interested in logos and 3D logo animation clips because they have invested heavily in their own custom visuals. I was considering investing in some sick custom video visuals, but I'm now wondering if the money could be better spent elsewhere. I know Bassjackers have some cool ones from live clips I've seen. Love to hear your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts.
Yeah, you gotta brand yourself, but it's good enough for now to just have your logo, which can be used by the clubs and the VJs themselves, and you'll be fine. You don't have to have stuff sync to your tracks and all. If they have
um,
their own custom design, and that's gonna be enough for now.
I have actually amazing custom visuals, which I haven't really showcased much, which is a shame. So maybe I should do that once. But I think it is really beneficial to have your own custom visuals. And what I always do, I make sure to either have a good tour manager or go myself to the sound check. And I want to talk to the visuals guy because I want to like they have like you said invested in their own visuals, so you don't want to be like too you have to use my visuals, but you have to present them with all your visuals, and then like I always tell them like, hey, you can also do your own thing, you can use mine, this is the intro. I think it is if you have the money, it is worth because it is branding. Like if I have a big elephant
Yeah.
on the
Also
screen.
shows some professionality, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think, but yeah, like you don't need it. I also agree with that. It is a lot of money for,
What's the average price for such a thing?
Depends
yeah,
on the
there's no,
hours,
yeah,
but
it depends.
I have no clue, to be honest. But I think for 1,500 euros you can have your logos, which can be in 3D and well
Couldn't you
used
make
by
something
any
like that with
VJ around.
AI? Like just put your logo in and make it animated?
Yeah, the thing is the formatting. I don't know shit about that, but yeah,
You
could
need
be.
I needed like 3 different formats so that every club can open it, that they can preview it to check what it is.
Okay.
So yeah, but I think
So,
I paid around I think 10K.
poof.
But I really have good ones. And I think for that price, I'm not sure if you're gonna get it like I have. But yeah, but like Ralph said, some logo animations with like pick a color. I think Bassjackers use a lot of red, for example. That can already be part of your branding. So if you say, hey, I want some logo animations, quite simple, but use pink because that's your brand, do that. You know, that can already be
We have a lot of
a bit
red,
of branding.
black, red, white. Is actually the main
Hmm.
coloring.
Here's a question from him. Do you think it's smart for a producer to work with a very small...
From him?
Yeah. Do you think it's smart for a producer to work with a very small trusted sample library to keep workflow fast and simple, or do you prefer having a huge collection, as many options as possible?
Yeah, there's something to say for both, but yeah, I'm also a big fan of using a small cluster of, let's say, packs and banks. Yeah, the main point is you really got to know the sounds and what you're working with, and if that's a lot or small, yeah, don't have all the same memory capacity. But it's that if it's like a language, if you know a lot of words, you can make more sentences. And with music also, that really uh, you're way more creative when you just have a lot of knowledge. But the knowledge needs to be at a certain level. So start out with the small batch and then just work your way up. But it's really good to know a certain sounds like really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised if you pick even like the Fruity Loops stock plugins, and you're like for do some challenges with yourself. Say, hey, I'm gonna make a song only using this citrus or something like a stock plugin. You'll be
I
surprised how cool
I
you
wouldn't do
can.
that.
No, maybe not citrus, but you'll still be
Serum is way
surprised.
better, and you
No, no,
should
no.
always use
This
serum.
is no wrong, very wrong. You'll be surprised how much creativity you'll spark if you only use one shitty plugin. And coming back to Ralph saying you need to know your sounds, also a different plugin like Serum has a certain type of sound that you might not want for your production. You know, I think for example, for me, Serum is pretty like harsh and pretty precise, and sometimes you don't want that, for example.
It's a bit too
So that's
raw.
also stuff you need to know about certain plugins.
Yeah.
But limiting yourself can be very helpful for your creativity for sure.
Yeah, he
that's
mentions it.
something we agree on.
He says things about his workflow. So when it comes to workflow, I think having your own set really helps to create some efficiency and some speed in the process. But you don't want to get lost in keep recycling the same stuff because that makes the whole thing very boring. Also creativity. So you want to keep triggering yourself sometimes every now and then to get inspired and find new sounds. Question from Jelly Boner. There he is again. How do you guys go about layering your synths? Do you find one main sound and layer around it, or smack different ones blindly together? Sometimes I find a cool lead, but I mess up the character when I add something to it.
Yeah, that's like sounds really familiar. I have the same. Usually, you just start with a bass sound, not a bass, but one sound that has
And
certain
foundation sound.
characteristic. Yeah, foundation sound, and you're searching for a certain characteristic that it has, and then you kind of miss stuff. You're first gonna see, can I find that in the EQing, or hey, put a sound goodizer on it. Always
Mm-hmm.
helps. And you're just gonna mess with it, and then you can always think, okay, maybe I'm gonna search other sounds to get that fullness or that high spark or that crisp or whatever. But it's always about characteristics of sound, and that's when, yeah, but you start from that foundation. Yeah.
My new track that is coming out the end of March.
Hey.
More info about that soon. But I started with a little voice that does the melody, and I will show this project when it comes out. That was the foundation, and it sounded cool, but not nearly powerful enough. So I layered it with some other synth serum or something, and it made that it had power, but still that little voice thing came through and made it sound organic,
Mm-hmm.
which makes the lead and the lead sound itself is pretty simple, but then layered with that little sound, it becomes very unique. And that's something you should, well, not per se strive for, but I like that.
I think it's always a journey, right? Because it's never the same for any synth. You should always check for every synth itself. Like, should
It's
it be
trial and
layered?
error.
Yeah, like, should
Yeah.
it be layered? How many layers do I need? Like, what am I looking for? Going back
And
to
like, oh, it was Jelly Boner, right?
yeah,
What he or she said. I think it's a he,
I think it's
but
the
boner wise. But yeah, sometimes you just go out of bounds, like, oh man, now the sound's just all effed up. But and you always need to be sure that you work in a certain flow that you can always go back. And yeah, because we all get there. You kind of search for the limits. Sometimes you go over it, but it's never going to be spot on right away. And so make sure within your workflow that you can always track back.
cool. Here's a question from Gerard
That's
Francis.
a good one actually, but that's also with when it comes to melody. Just want to hook into
Hmm.
Ralph what Ralph said, because sometimes I have a melody and it kind of works in the drop, but I want to try something new out. I just duplicate the pattern so that that old melody and rhythm stays the same, and then try a new one out. Maybe it works,
Yeah.
or if it doesn't, I still have the old one.
You're gonna
Just
end up with a really messy project, though. That's how it always ends.
yep,
But that's not so important. It's about creating cool stuff. So
yep.
comes at a
Okay.
cost, a great
And the
cost.
mess, just turn your screen off when you listen to it. Just listen to, hey, what do I want to change? Because sometimes I get lost in like all those pattern blocks and versions, but then I'm like, hey, wait, I just need to listen, and then I hear where I need to
Don't
change the
do
bass.
that. Listen to Ralph. put on an EQ, EQ, play the melody, and take a little dimple and just put it everywhere you think you might miss something. If you go over your spectrum, then you're gonna hear like, okay, these parts of EQ boosted, they do this, or this lowered does that, and that's when you're gonna get some really cool characteristics in the sound.
Man, Ralph really has no talent.
I have no
it's
talent, man.
it's
That's
all
why I need all the
statistics.
time in the studio. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I have good
Okay.
ears though.
Question from Gerard Francis. How would you go about releasing remixes and bootlegs? I currently put them out for free on SoundCloud with a fan gate, but I see a lot of remixes on record labels nowadays.
Yeah, it could also work. What we sometimes do is just put it on SoundCloud and see if it gets any traction. I mean,
It's like a
the
test,
numbers on
right?
SoundCloud are less. I mean, if you get 1 million views there or 100,000, that's actually quite a lot. Whereas Spotify, that's your first weekend if you're a well-established artist. But I'm a big fan of releasing that way. And if it gets traction, it also increases your chances of making it an official release to get it cleared. On the other hand, you can always go to the full cover path and just get no publishing whatsoever and release it as a full cover, but there's a little bit of a risk in there because that's like this grayish
Yeah.
legal area. I mean, it's a copyright of other persons, and they can always say, "Hey, man, take it
Yeah, and you
offline,"
can't
or
use any of the original recordings.
no,
Yeah.
don't use the
It's very
master,
important.
and that's
Yeah.
very important. Also,
Yeah.
to get stuff cleared, because if you
I
use the
also
master,
think
yeah,
I also think, and this goes for a lot of remixes. We talked about mashups before, how like, yeah, cool mashup is cool, but not as cool as it was. I have a little bit the same with remixes. It's like it's can be amazing for your profile and showcase and benefit of the popularity of the vocal. Like, hey, this is our sound if we would make that song. So yes, you should try to release it like we in the ways we said before, but also just move on to the next project because it's sometimes I hear tracks and I'm like, yeah, you literally just put a you have an original track where you put a famous vocal on. Yeah, you can make
Hmm.
a like you can you know how do you say
what are
that?
you saying, man?
I'm
He's
saying
having a stroke.
some yeah
No.
no. I'm trying English. I'm thinking in Dutch today.
Spanglish.
It's
Spanglish.
terrible.
Yeah. Okay. Question for you guys.
Don't
Okay,
no.
First,
okay, next.
first, Ralph.
Thank you for your okay service.
What's something that took you years to learn as a DJ producer that you wish you knew earlier?
Don't know.
Paradox.
I have no idea.
Isn't there something that took you years to kind of discover? Like, oh, is
No,
this
no,
how it
no.
works?
There's no because it's just a changing world, and always, um, yeah.
Okay.
You know, the hardest part is getting started, and you just don't know shit. And there's like almost nobody in your surroundings that can help you because it's such a weird world. And yeah, it's helpful to have like a mentor, a coach. Hey, a shameless plug for you, Joey.
Hey, thank you.
Um, it's important to get. It's a tricky world and it's a complex world. It's not so simple as it sometimes
Hmm.
seems.
And
But
for you,
there's
Jay?
nothing. No, I think in essence, all the stuff we do is simple, but it you have to have like the coincidence factor is really large. So the more you do, your coincidence chances go up. You need coincidence to happen, and
Is that maybe something you learned, as in just by
no, no,
delivering a
no.
lot
That
of
was
work?
just yeah, no, no. That's always
Hmm.
for me. To be honest, it's if you can make it in music and you feel you can make it, like the door is opening. There's just this little bit. Go for it. Go all out because if you make it into music, that's the best thing ever. And yeah, you're actually obligated to
Have
all the
you
ones
ever
you
hit a
try.
golf ball? Have you ever hit a drive
I
250
actually,
yards?
I've hit a golf ball, but yeah, no, but I had the same always with surfing, and I used to surf quite a lot also in Holland up
Online.
until I think 2013, 14. We're not on the internet, dude, in the sea. Yeah,
Does
and
anybody use that term still? I'm surfing on the
Surfing on the
internet.
internet.
No one uses that. You're so
It's
old.
no, it's
boomers.
browsing. Yeah, well, still I use it. Fuck that. But no, but at some point you just it took too much time because when you do you have to drive to the sea, get prepared, go in, you do it for a few hours, then get out. Takes the whole day, and yeah, I think this work is so important and so competitive as well that yeah, you just need to be on your A game.
Just on the other hand, no one on their deathbed will say, "I wish I worked more," but that's just
No, but for
another
me, it doesn't
whole
feel
deep
as
topic.
work. No, I get a lot
Well,
of
that's good.
adventure out of this, and we have another project. I'm gonna tell you about it when the time comes. But I saw a big DJ in a certain genre play it on this insane show, and for me, bam, my day. I actually have a really good day.
Today.
Today is a good day.
You don't look
But
like
it's
it.
really nice if you get your goals. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's one of the biggest highs you can get.
What about you, Jay? Is there anything you've learned over the years that you wish you would have learned earlier?
Well, I think it's like I think kind of agree with Rob because it's a bit of a paradoxical question. Like it you can't really answer it because some things you're not ready to learn until you've experienced something else. So it's kind of like I don't think I can tell you a lot of knowledge I have now, and you don't know how to use it yet. If I compare, yeah, you guys are looking at me so.
Dude.
I was reading
some
something.
some lessons you're not ready to learn yet. You don't know. It's like you need to experience something else
Yeah.
in life before you can really grasp something. It's like when people tell you, "Oh, take it easy touring. Don't drink too much." Yeah, but you don't know, and you're
You
gonna
need to be.
experience.
You also need to be ready and open for the message. I would say, as in,
Yeah, that's what I
y-
mean.
like your parents told you 10,000 times back in the days, like watch out for this or that, until you turn 30, and
Mm.
now you realize, oh, it actually
Yeah,
makes sense.
You need to make your own mistakes, and
yeah,
that's how
yeah,
you learn.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
what. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also
Okay.
want to point out
That's part of learning.
that people don't think that I work always. I actually have my days pretty much laid out. In the weekend, I don't do shit. I enjoy life, and in the morning I brush my daughter's hair, I make the food for my kids, I walk her to school, then I bring away my son, then I get here in the studio, that's 8:45, I make a cup of coffee, then I'm in the studio around 9ish, and then at 5:15 I'm done for the day, pick up the kids, or my wife does that, and then I'm home. So to be honest,
Yeah.
for me it actually shows something that, and most of the artists don't really make the hours, and it's actually astonishing. If you add up my hours, I barely make 40 hours a week, and
But
then and people look at me like I'm a hardworking person. Dude, if that's the hardest working person in a certain profession, then man, we
it's
are the laziest
really
profession
it's
ever.
really hard to judge from the outside, and that's what I think is always a tricky thing. Like you think you make a lot of hours, you don't know how much hours I make. And just because I've been golfing today, and I have my golf hat on, it seems like, oh, you're working less hours, but that's just from the outside. It's really hard to judge how much
How
someone
much
works.
hours would you say you put
No,
in on a
no,
weekly
nobody
basis?
said you were
No
working
idea.
less hours. I
No, no,
didn't
but I'm
say
I'm
that.
saying I'm only saying it's hard to judge from the outside how much effort and time someone is actually putting in. That's what I'm
Well,
trying to.
it's a well calculated thing, a calculated guess, because I know the scene. I know a lot of people that work in it, and like, yeah, the thing is, just making music at night when you're behind your computer instead of watching a series, just doing stuff there. And yes, you can make a hit, but most of the time it takes a little bit more of concentration, especially nowadays, to make something. That's also the whole
But
reason
who do
why the
you
session
wait?
musicians
Who do
exist.
you who are you referring to with?
Everybody making music, yeah, kind of need you need to have some
No, but like
concentration
the
about it.
example is like, is that someone you know, or you
No,
follow
but sometimes
someone's
I'm at
daily
home.
schedule and
No, but sometimes I'm at home and I'm like, oh man, fuck that TV, and I'm just gonna fuck around with sounds and just play around with it a little bit. But to be honest, that's not the same as really
no, but
making music.
I know, I agree, but I mean like you can't tell from the outside how much time someone is putting in. That's what I
It's a calculated guess. I talk to people and
It's an
yeah,
estimation.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
it's an estimation. And to be honest, yeah, it proved me wrong. And to be honest, I also don't care. It would be good for me if people just don't do shit because the better off we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like with social media, you know, it's like that's why I think we also come back to the touring argument a lot. While I agree it's the easiest job in the world, it's not what it seems at all. And that's
It's hard to describe.
just it's not hard. Yeah, maybe it's just you
Yeah, it's
don't know.
hard
Like
because if
friends
you
of mine
li-
were always like, "Oh, you're always on the beach, and you're always." No, I'm always on airports, which I love. But it's like you can't tell from the outside how much effort someone is really putting in, or how much hours. So it's always a bit tricky to.
There are a lot
Yeah,
of artists that when they are touring, they make a lot of effort to show everybody, like, hey man, I'm at the airport again, team no sleep, and all that shit.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's 15 seconds of their day. You know, it's like you don't know shit about
yeah,
anyone
No,
basically.
I think us artists should be grateful of the position we're in and show more that we actually have a lot of choice in life, and that for that reason, that's a lot of reason to be really happy
Yeah, I
and not
fully
complain
agree.
and
Fully
be
agree.
really positive. And that's why I'm saying I think it's a really nice job to have. So if you have the possibility to reach that, go for it.
I saw last week. I don't know where it came from, but I saw another like I was a trend watcher, like some guy like whose business was trend watching. Um, and he said like in the future, the near future, um, having time off a lot actually becomes a status symbol. So you're already noticing that in culture right now, like it used to be like, oh, look at me working my ass off,
Hmm.
and now it's more like I have the luxury to not work all day. So that's a luxury symbol. It's turning out to become a luxury symbol. So it's kind of fun to see how those mindset shifts are working right now.
I know it's from friends who go from 5 days work weeks to 4 days work weeks because
I
they
have a
can
lot of
afford it,
friends. Yeah,
and they're like, hey, you know what? That extra day, I love it, and I'm yeah, just gonna take it. Which so I guess
yeah,
that's the part of the theory.
yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. One more question from the live chat from Israel Carter. Do you have
Boom.
expectations on yourself to release a certain amount of tracks throughout the year?
Yeah, not to release per se anymore because that kind of shifted. I'm a little bit like how do you want to present a track? Does it need to be released? Yes, probably, but that's not the goal. But yeah, I do want to make a certain amount of tracks and put them out, like
But
one
what
a month
if
minimal.
releases are not the goal? Then what is the goal for you?
Well, nowadays also you can just consume music on all the socials and get your reach over there, and doesn't per se
I
have
think
to be released. Yeah.
I think one a month is a good goal to set, and maybe you end up with 10 in a year or 9, which I think should still be good. But especially now, also like, that's also what Ralph said is like social media. You can showcase everything you're working on right now. You can make a video right now about a song, which is part of your brand. You may
Yeah.
be gonna release it, maybe not. But if you have, yeah, just the goal of one track a month, I think that's a good, streven. I don't know how to say that in
Yeah,
English.
something to strive
Strive
for.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
To
strive
strive
for.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you set some kind of goals. You like, I'm gonna finish the track. I'm gonna upload it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make an artwork. That's
And for
always good to have.
for creative people, it also works great to have deadlines that pushes them to actually finish stuff. Because otherwise, when is it finished, right? So having a deadline really works to decide on if the track is
Oh
done, yes
man,
or no.
I had this master that I sent away. There was a big mistake in it. But what I actually was also what's notable about it that it's a collab, and the other party had to notice the mistake, and not people of the label, not even the people around me, actually, like my management
Mm-hmm.
or whatsoever, and um, man, not even Marlon. And so the quality control also was lacking. And then you get to a point like, oh shit, this is something we actually need to be really wary
Yeah.
about, because if it wouldn't be up for one person of the other artists team,
It would just be
and
out.
we, hey dude, and it was a big mistake, man.
What
Yeah.
was the mistake?
What kind of big
Yeah,
are we
it was
talking
just
about?
I don't know what went wrong. I think something because the project got so big because we went back and forth the whole time. I think with I just listened to it and then was like, okay, export and put the wave in the folder. And didn't listen to the eventual wave, because sometimes there's a mistake in bouncing a track
Mm-hmm.
and or exporting a track, and it's like in the fourth or fifth second, like it just glitched all of a sudden,
Mm.
and it was so notable.
Wow.
It was just like, whoa, dude,
But also in the
nobody
beginning.
listened to the end product.
Yeah,
Huh?
exactly. Like if
But
it were
Yeah,
at the end, like it would have
it's
made sense. But
dude. Yeah, yeah.
but those things are always going to happen though, because I then sent my parts out for mix and mastering. So I like bounce the whole extended mix, and then it's basically the same project that has the radio edit. So I'm like, you know what? I have the same settings here. Export and send. And then he he texts me back like, "Hey, I here's the first mix, but I only have the extended because the radio edit was like 8 bars only, and yeah, no sound in it or something like that, or like only
that's
one sound. I just made a mistake exporting, and then you just like
yeah.
doing all these
Yeah.
things, sending it out. Yeah, you're always gonna
Double
have
check. Always
those
double
things.
check the end result.
That's all. Yeah, but that's a good thing because
Yeah, yeah.
I do the same as well sometimes. You go into a project, oh, yeah, it sounds good. What are those extra 4 minutes of just listening through
Yeah.
the whole
Mm.
thing once? You
But
should
also,
do that for
nobody at
sure.
the label listened to,
That's
they
that's
also
That's
crazy.
should have
pretty
That's
quality
disappointing.
crazy.
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it shouldn't be up to you always to be fully responsible for the end product.
Well, in the end, you are right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not solely. I mean, they also
Welcome to
must
being an
agree.
artist, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Welcome to being an artist. But it was a
Okay.
new lesson, a lesson again.
Lesson learned. Guys, thanks again for taking the time to be here. To everyone listening, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you. We had 62 people tuning into the live stream today, so that's amazing again to see. If you're here and if you're not part of the Discord yet, make sure to join our Discord
Oh
server,
man.
our little community where we talk
Oh,
about music and everything during the week. We also do Q&As. Actually had one yesterday, a live Q&A, which was very fun. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
I,
Stieke.
I don't think I want to know.
It's an elastic band.
Actually, we last week we talked about Kill the Bus being here today, but we had to postpone that. So I think it was the 17th of
I can see
March.
Ralph clearly now.
Within 2
I
weeks,
can
he will
see
be with us.
clearly now.
If you're a fan of this podcast, make sure to share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Spotify if you want, and make sure to grab
Look
that
at me.
free
Look at this.
scorecard. Make sure to grab that free scorecard on the website if you want. Guys, see
And
you
you still
next
talk.
week.
Man, hey, look at my nose.
Ralph is severed.
It's
Bye.
me.
That's your innie showing.
It's insane.
That was your innie showing.
We're still on the air, right?
No,